So we saw that our main antagonist, if we could call it that, of the story, Gang Lu, has killed everybody in the office, including people like Bob Smith, Chris, Dwight, Shan, all these people who he hated because he feels a lot of disillusionment with the current establishment, the current system, how the institution is run. So, what we can see is that our narrator gets a phone call that there has been a disturbance in the building, and there's a rumor that Dwight has been shot. So something has happened in the building, and there's a rumor that Dwight, the chairman of the department, has been shot. And she immediately thinks of Chris, whether he is safe or not. And she gets another call from another physicist's wife, warning the narrator to brace herself for the bad news, informing her that it's possible that Chris was also involved. So her thought goes to that Chris might be the shooter, but then it is revealed that Chris might have been killed too. So she gets the news that she gets the information that there has been a disturbance, a shooting in the building, and Dwight, along with Chris, has been shot with a bunch of people. So soon, more people arrive at her house, and they watch the news, and they read the news report that at the University of Iowa there has been 5 people who have been killed. 2 people are injured, and one of the survivors is left paralyzed. So she's flooded with phone calls because other people are also seeing this news, and they want to know whether our narrator is safe. That is, they want to know whether Joanne was also one of the people who were involved in the attack. So, but they clarify that she clarifies that she is alive and she is safe. But every time the phone rings, she hopes that it might be Chris. ഉള്ളിലൊരു പ്രതീക്ഷയുണ്ട് അത് ക്രിസ് ആകണം. Like she doesn't want Chris to be dead. But later she has to deal with the reality of what has happened. That is, Chris is also dead. The names of the people who are dead are announced in the news, and Chris's name and picture appears in the list. അത് കാണുമ്പോൾ our narrator has to deal with the reality that yes, her best friend is now dead. So she goes to her room and stares at herself in the mirror. She doesn't know how to process this information. The full weight of the tragedy settles in. Chris's mother, who had visited him, had taken her own life. She could not deal with the trauma. And her estranged husband arrives at her house to offer support. And she has to finally deal with this whole situation. That is, her best friend is now dead. She she tries to sleep that night, but she's unable to sleep, so she just goes outside and stares at the stars and looking at the universe. Have you ever felt that way? That is, you're something that is somebody who's insignificant in the larger scheme of things. Similar to that, she feels that her loss, her grief, is simultaneously both insignificant but at the same time immense. That is, our narrator feels trapped in the permanence of loss while the world moves on. If things happen to us, it's often we and our close friends and family who are affected by a particular tragedy, while the world continues to move on. Watching a news cycle, you might feel like that. That is, ഒരു ന്യൂസ് കുറച്ച് നാൾ emphasized ആയിട്ട് വരും. After a few days or weeks, that news will move on. I had recently discussed this in a class, right? That the most trending things during that time was the Samadhi news as well as the Boche and Honey Rose case. But right now, that is no longer relevant. Right now, it is, violence committed by Gen Z, which is the and movies like Marco, which might be encouraging such acts. These are the things which are considered relevant now. So the loss, the tragedy, the death of her best friend is something that is very personal to her. But that is the whole point. It is something that is only personal to her. It is a very subjective feeling. Objectively, the world doesn't care. The everything will move on, and she just the whole passage it ends with a sort of stillness. That is this dichotomy. That is this two things. That is the permanence of loss, along with the unrelenting change of the world.